Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, the people's channel, home of the BitSquad, the largest and greatest crypto community in all of the interwebs. No channel is working harder to keep you in the know when it comes to crypto. This is Around the Blockchain. We come to you Monday through Friday at 5:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking about your favorite topics with your favorite guests. Today is no exception. This is maybe our best all-star studded cast we've ever had, ever. That's right. We're going to start with the top right. We have Gareth Soloway. He's making some big moves behind the scenes. He's trying to get in those closed-door meetings for us. We can't share the details, though. You have to check out his socials for all that. Then on the bottom right, we have, I said your partner was the better half of Debate Crypto, but I lied. You're the better half of Debate Crypto. We have Crypto Keeper holding it down. I was on that show. Definitely check out that channel. I was defending NFTs against a Hex person. But then on the bottom left, we have Johnny Crypto. He prefers two wheels, but you know what? Today he's sitting on a chair before. Thank you for, joining us today, Johnny. Then on the top left, we have, he's quietly squatting on a very, very good Twitter handle. We're going to keep it secret for now. But yeah, that's right. We have Ben Armstrong. And Ben, I'm going to go ahead and ask you. I'm going to put you on the spot now. Can we go see The Weeknd together at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium? It's like 5 months from now.
I'll go with you any day of the week. It doesn't have to be the weekend, DZ.
Ah, look at that. You know what? It's on a Thursday, so good. All right. Well, today we're going to be talking about Bitcoin holders. We've just reached a giant major milestone when it comes to Bitcoin wallets. We just hit an all-time high for the amount of wallets. Also, European Union trying to ban Bitcoin and other coins. Yeah, proof of work banning. And Bored Ape Yacht Club just bought CryptoPunks. So maybe major moves happening in the NFT space. But before we get into all that, you know what time it is, everybody. It's time for us to check out the markets. And it looks like it is just largely flat today. We have Bitcoin. I almost want to refresh because it's almost too close to the center there. Yeah, we have Bitcoin up 0.25%. We have Ethereum down not quite 1%. BNB, XRP cooling down from some of the just parabolic gains it's had over the past week. But Bitcoin right now at 38,700. We're flirting with 40,000. Heck, we're almost touching, 45 now. Gareth, what is going on with Bitcoin? We're getting all this crazy news about, inflation, all-time highs, but the price just doesn't seem to listen.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, it's just Bitcoin's in a real tight range at this point. And we've just seen this sideways chop. And, crazy enough is last Monday when I was on, Bitcoin was right here. And a week later, we're within like $100 of that exact level. So we did see a little bit of a pop initially that coincided with a little stock market rally, a little hopium that the Russia invasion of Ukraine would get solved maybe peacefully. That obviously didn't play out, and then we've just come right back in. But the bigger pattern remains the same. Big move down, sideways consolidation. And again, ultimately, the medium term is not bright on Bitcoin, even though I do think we're still due for some sort of pop back to the 44 to 47,000 level. But yeah, it's been remarkable. If you look at the last 3 days on Bitcoin, right? So yesterday we had the weekly close, and right before the weekly close, it got pounded quickly and then bounced right back. And the last 3 days are almost sideways except for that little dip and pop back. So very low volume, very kind of complacent market. It almost reminds me of the calm before the storm. So just keep that in mind that there's something here coming. There's a lot of wedge patterns that are getting close to ultimately having to either break out or break down in a lot of different coins. And that tells me that there's some big news coming or some trigger that's going to either pop Bitcoin big or drop it.
Well, Gareth, I see we have that ascending support line, but it looks like we got a little bit of a flat support line at around 38,000. Is that too few days for us to really count that as support?
Yeah, so you're looking at this level right here. So it certainly is support. There's absolutely, that would be my short-term level that you want to see held, that it doesn't go retest this. So as long as we're holding this, again, I'd give you at least a short-term upside bias, maybe back to this level up here. But certainly that is support, and it's proven itself now 3 times. The question is, can it start to build on that? The problem with support is that when you hammer on it multiple times, it starts to weaken. So you need to see price starting to move up very, very quickly. Otherwise, again, it has a chance of breaking to the downside.
Yeah, knocking on support's floor, and we don't want that to keep going. So, all right, let's talk a little this Bitcoin. The amount of wallets is reaching all-time highs. I did say, we hit a big milestone. We're right now close to 40 million, 39.9 million Bitcoin addresses. I actually did the math. I was like, all right, let me see the population. We got 7.9 billion people divided by that. It's about one wallet every 197 people. we say we're still early. One wallet out of every 200 people. So, I mean, we definitely still are early on some level. Just this year, 888,000 new Bitcoin addresses have been created. So 8 is a lucky number in a lot of Eastern cultures. So, maybe this will pull through. But now, Keeper, a lot of people are saying, we're going to have this little consolidation. And then, they're saying this in October, November, December last year, expecting kind of a move upward in March and April. Just historically, it just seems to like those months. Do you think that, maybe that can still play out, or is that that sideways channel got you a little worried?
I think if we just every single month that it doesn't happen, we say that it's going to start to happen the next month, at some point, we're going to be correct, right? I don't know. I literally have stopped making any short-term predictions on Bitcoin. What I do know is that my family is going to continue to get wealthier as time goes on. I know that 2017 to now, things have changed exponentially, and I expect that between 2022 and 2026, the same, and 2026 to 2030, the short-term stuff, I just, unless it's part of my trading portfolio, which I do trade, but that's so short-term. I just like to look into the future a little bit farther, because that's what this is for me. This is a long game. It's not the short game for me.
Okay. Now, Johnny, we have a lot of obstacles facing Bitcoin today. We're going to get into the proof of work banning, in Europe, but we got regulation on all over the globe, whether it's China, European Union, America. Where do you see the strongest headwinds going towards Bitcoin? I mean, is it still, like, in a weird way, is it still China, just going all in on a digital yuan, or is it still, the places that do accept it are kind of starting to crack down? Where do you see the biggest obstacle for Bitcoin to overcome?
We need good news. Bitcoin needs to drink one of these. This isn't an ad, but it needs like a caffeine dump in order to get it to explode. Bitcoin doesn't have his coffee yet. We need, like with inflation, we need something to combat it. So what's happening in the next couple days with Chairman Powell, either going to decide to raise interest rates just a little bit. It'd be nice if he cut rates, because typically when we have news of an invasion or starting of a war, our economies end up lowering rates to kind of boost economy, put more money into it so that everything looks good on paper. We need something like that in order to good news for the markets to turn a different direction, because right now it's just negative. There's a lot of FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt priced into the prices. I'm pretty sure that price is going to continue to go down. So in the long term, again, we just, not trying to digress, we just need some good news happening, whether it is inflation or something, because if not, we're just going to continue this bear market until the halving, because the markets are so correlated with Wall Street now. We need an influx of big money, which is guys from Wall Street, smart money, to put money into crypto in order to go up. So DZ, I know that was probably not the best answer you need, but I'm waiting for some sort of good news, good tweet, something in order for us to stimulate upwards, to start being moon boy again. Because as of right now, I will have a short-term target. I am saying that we're going down to the 30s is really where I've got some price targets involved. I've actually sold a good majority of my bonds. I had a bunch of T-bills that were losing money, so good for my taxes to get some of it. So I've got cash on hand, and now I'm honestly kind of praying that price gets down to those levels so that I can get a good entry for a long-term hold into Bitcoin.
Okay, like Elio Trade says, you got that dry powder on the sidelines. I'm glad you brought up Jeremy Powell. I actually have some inflation numbers here. Bitcoin's inflation right now is about 1.7%. The USD inflation is 7.9%. So we're seeing inflation about 5x worse. Now, Ben, that's a giant inflation disparity here. We have a giant divergence, 5x the inflation rate here. How do you see this this inflation divergence playing out? I mean, obviously, we know what direction Bitcoin's heading. It's just going to get lower and lower and lower. I mean, will they, with all these extra external events that have happened, do they have to slow down, their money printer machine, or they just have to keep going burr?
Well, I mean, they have to slow it down at some point. We keep talking about this. We have the convergence. That's some divergence. We have the convergence of the short tail problem, which is raising the rates and stopping inflation. And we have the long tail problem, which is inflation. that they work together. They're going to damage equally. It's just one is going to damage fast and quickly, which is raising the rates, and then the other one is going to damage more over the long term, which is the inflation. There's really no way for them at this point to really whip out the money printer unless we are heading to World War. Like, World War would probably be the one thing that would make them turn on the money printer again. When you think about the giant Ponzi scheme that is the US dollar and fiat currency, you know, it's certainly not out of the question that they would possibly go into war specifically just to print the money, you know, not even with, you know, maybe with just the idea that we would have limited, you know, a limited role. I mean, go back to what we talked about this morning. I mean, the fact is, with Russia firing missiles, you know, within 50 miles of the Polish border, very close to getting in NATO territory here, where NATO would have to do something. Of course, then the United States would be forced to do something on that front. That's the only way. You know, the thing about what ifs and unlikely scenarios is the United States sure does have a way to make these happen, right? We looked at several months ago, before this Russia-Ukraine war had started. You know, if we go back to the very beginning of January, we were talking about stories where it said the only possible way that we could really, you know, not raise rates and stuff, and how inflation could continue, would be if there was a war between Russia and Ukraine. And then lo and behold, it happens. So that's the one thing to watch. But make no mistake about it, the United States is not going to be able to wriggle out of the tight constriction that it is in when it comes to inflation. We cannot turn the money printers on, save but for an absolute emergency, which of course, you know, we could cook up. But if we do that, then, you know, it means that when the consequences come, they'll come much more heavy-handed.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into the lightning round before we get to this next topic. This will be a good one. And we're going to have you recall that previous channel we saw on Gareth's channel, or on his screen here. Will Bitcoin break up or break down out of the channel? I'm going to end with you, Gareth, Crypto Keeper. Where would you say, are we going to break up or break down?
I mean, I think we have some more sideways. I think we have some more sideways action to go, but I think in the medium term, I think we're going to break up.
Up first. All right. Now, Johnny, up first or down first?
I'm a bear. We're way below some of the moving averages. There's too much uncertainty and doubt. With interest rates more than likely being ticked up, I say we're going down. We're going down below 36,000 to the $30,000 mark. That's where I'm saying.
Okay. Ben, breaking up or breaking down?
I'm actually feeling relatively bullish right now. I actually think that we are going to break up and break out, at least in the short term. But I'm tending to believe that we are with Bitcoin, as they say with one of my favorite shows, Big Brother, you know, you can expect the unexpected. And that feels like to be the unexpected thing right now.
Yeah, I'm actually about 60-40 up over down. Now, Gareth, you had that chart ready. You're the TA guy. Are we breaking up or breaking down first?
So I'm in the camp that I think you'll take out this yellow trend line before you take out this orange. And I'll give you guys a little cycle analysis here. This date to this date where you started the major move up is approximately 2 months. 2 months from this low would be approximately March 22nd to 25th. So just keep an eye on that date. You know, that's basically, I think, next week. Be really interesting to see if we get a specific move in crypto right around that time frame.
Ooh, I like a little
Garrett,
event
you think we're gonna
horizon
have a large
here.
wick, big liquidation event before we go back up?
Do I think that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have a flush out. You know, there's no doubt that weak hands need to be flushed out of crypto before there's really a true bottom. And when I say true bottom, I mean like the next big move towards 69, then 100,000 and so forth.
You see this is
I'm
paper
not allowed
hands.
to say it, but I'm waiting for one of those gnarly red candles that is just a nice giant wick.
Let's get those paper hands out of here. All right, let's talk a little European Union proof of work ban. They just tried to pass it. It just failed this morning. It was the markets in crypto assets provision on this legislation here. It ultimately got voted down, but it was a close one. We had 32 voting against, 24 voting for. So basically a 3-2 split, not really that far apart. And essentially it was going to call for a ban on proof of work cryptocurrencies. Of course, that would refer to, Ethereum, that would refer to Bitcoin. So it was essentially a Bitcoin ban in the European Union. How that would look like, how that would phase out, how that would roll out, the details are, not yet known, but essentially, it didn't end up passing. So now, a lot of cryptocurrencies, people were expecting, oh, this should, maybe give us a good bounce, maybe very, very short-lived, but, obviously we're not seeing any giant green candles today. So, maybe those thoughts and assumptions were, misfounded. Now, CryptKeeper, Bitcoin, I have a stat here. It only accounts for 0.08% of the world's carbon dioxide emissions last year. Very, very small fraction, not even 1%, not even 10% of 1%, less than 10% of 1%. Do you agree that proof of work is a concern that maybe we should be worried about, just as a branding issue?
No, absolutely not. Though I'll tell you what, we live in a world with a bunch of sheep right now. And basically what's happening, I believe, is that headlines get tossed out there and they're a narrative that wants to be pushed by one side or the other. I don't care which side it's from. And then a bunch of people jump on board with it without even knowing what the heck is going on. Here's something interesting. I looked into this a little bit further. So if we look at so what they're talking about is energy consumption, and we're talking about this Green New Deal that the United States has. I know this is over in the EU, but I'm just using that as an example. The facts are, like, we're talking about, hey, we need to stop with the emissions. We're going to give carbon credits. We're going to do all of these great things for electric vehicles. Well, guess what? The production of electric vehicles substantially is substantially more environmentally intensive versus petrol diesel cars. Global warming potentially I'm sorry, the global warming potential is exponentially higher. It's actually over twice what it is of conventional vehicles. And let's go one more step further. The batteries that the electric motors require are made of all these toxic minerals, nickel, copper, aluminum. And I think we should reach out to Elon Musk and ask him, hey, how are you planning on disposing of all of these lithium batteries? Because if you actually take one step further and look at that, we're saying one thing, hey, we want to do this great thing for our environment, and then we're literally doing the exact opposite, but we're packaging it up in a nice little bow that a bunch of sheep can jump on board with and say, oh yeah, like, let's save the world, let's do that. It makes me sick, man. I just, no, we don't need to worry about energy consumption. It's not a real topic.
Okay, well, I think we all agree, we kind of understand the facts, but, the retail investing world, they maybe look at it a little bit differently. Now, Gareth, we do have these creative, ways of going around this. We have volcano bonds. We're trying to use thermal energy from volcanoes. Sounds like something Dr. Evil would do almost. We have even Marathon Digital Holdings. I think they're using more and more hydroelectric power, over, as they expand their mining operations. So, we're trying to find these inventive ways of getting around, using, bad forms of energy consumption. But will Wall Street care about that? I mean, is this too much of a branding issue for, a pension fund to maybe invest in some, Bitcoin exposed stocks here? Or is this narrative just not going to go away here?
Yeah, I mean, I think Wall Street and a lot of hedge funds want to invest in Bitcoin. They just have to remember they're controlled by these investors who are dumping tens, if not hundreds of $1 million into them. So they have to be really careful. They don't want to, as a hedge fund manager, you don't want to piss off your investors because they pull their money and then you don't get your 2 and 20, which is your cut of whatever you're doing. So you got to kind of wait. You got to play it safe. Hedge fund managers in general are going to want to play it safer. That's why they buy Apple and they buy Google and these bigger stocks like that. But yes, I think deep down they want to. Just like I think, you talked about the EU ban failing. The politicians secretly love Bitcoin, right? They know the printing of money is here to stay. They know the future, right? They're the ones making the rules. So they know what the outcome is. So they secretly want to buy Bitcoin. They want this to continue, and they just don't really want to announce it to the public because of the repercussions to the financial markets as well as the FX markets. But yeah, I mean, I think ultimately there's a lot of fund managers that want to get involved. They just can't until we get a little bit more framework from the government out there.
Yeah, and real quick, the government agency that was voted was the European Parliament Committee of Economic and Monetary Affairs. It just rolls right off the tongue there. Didn't have that one quite memorized. Now, Ben, we've seen what these traditional fiat, energy consumption is like, whether it's gold mining, whether it's the banking sector, whether it's just ATM machines. So we see that, there is a lot of energy being consumed here, but they're still getting terrible PR, still getting terrible public relations, still trying to get canceled by these politicians. Will proof of work mining withstand the test of time 20 years out, 30 years out, or is there a target on their back?
Yeah, I mean, the climate crazies want to come after him for sure. And let me be clear here. If you criticize Bitcoin, you are climate crazy. You're literally insane. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, this has been unequivocally, proven time and time again. Bitcoin is not this enemy to the environment that they portray it to be. Why do we attack Bitcoin and we don't attack ATMs? Why do we attack Bitcoin and we don't attack gold mining? Why do we attack Bitcoin and we don't attack air conditioning? Why? Because these people are small-brained. They're small-brained. They're low IQ, which makes it easier to wash their brain. Because if you think about a little brain, what's easier to wash? Like, if you had me, you had this big, gigantic, massive brain. You're having to, get liquid in between all the crevices and scrub a dub. It's going to be hard, right? I mean, look at Gareth Soloway. I can't speak for Johnny Hooper, but look at the size of Gareth Soloway and Crypto Keeper's heads. They are giant heads as well. Johnny, I'm sure you've got a big brain, but your head is not as massive as these two guys over here.
No,
you have
I
a very
wear
normal
small
size
helmet,
head, Johnny.
small
Thank
hat
you, Johnny.
size. It's very small.
Yeah.
That's why I zoomed in, so it's big.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. But these people are absolutely brainwashed. They're insane. There's really nothing more to be said about it than that. And I think Michael Saylor, was right when he was on my show, is that, cooler heads will prevail in this. And they're going to be if they're going to ban proof of work, they're going to shoot themselves in their foot. But Bitcoin mining is becoming big industry and big business here in the United States. We're already pushing forward. We've got all kinds of renewable energy sources down in Texas. They're doing stuff with oil reserves. Down in El Salvador, they're talking about volcano mining, all this stuff. It will become more renewable over time. Bitcoin is actually good for the environment. Bitcoin, quote me here, Bitcoin is good for the environment. It's going to create more renewable energy sources. But it's just like these people, they're so dumb that they just can't get out of their own way. And it's really pathetic to see, to be honest with you, especially a lot of these, European countries where they're, dumber than, Americans. Thanks.
And for those who are wondering about that, Google gas
flaring.
The
World War. It was us. Sorry.
Google gas flaring, it actually does do a lot of tremendous for the environment. Johnny, last question here on this topic. I'm going to try to get you to play devil's advocate here. In a country where energy is a concern, where you might have rolling blackouts, where you might have, just electricity cut off in hospitals and schools just at random times. In that type of country, in that type of environment, would you say maybe it is okay to regulate crypto mining?
I think it's all about a narrative. What is the goal behind the propaganda of manipulating a bad narrative towards cryptocurrency? It's all about control, and so the people that are in control right now are the big gas companies, and now they're trying to get into solar and everything. They're not quite ready, and Bitcoin kind of is the V for Vendetta, goes against everybody else as far as big corporations. It's power to the people. So by that definition, yeah, you want to turn it off. You want to say that it's bad for everything, get people to say whatever as far as all this negativity goes towards it. On Ben's defense there, he's absolutely right. When it comes to big banks, they spend about 3 times more energy with credit cards, everything than Bitcoin does. So, and then on Crypto Keeper's deal, I am kind of for green energy. Apple's developing a solid state battery to kind of get rid of battery acid. The sun is literally the biggest battery we have, so we do need to harness it at some point. And proof of work, yeah, I mean, it's still a little bit old tech when you're using normal electricity. So proof of stake is just an evolution, an innovation towards where we're wanting to go. Because guys, before, not like this whole thing with all the gas prices and the whole Russia, everyone thinks that it's because of Russia. No, it's all because what we're talking about here. It's the printing of money. And this has now been turned into, hey, this is a Russia problem, and now you need to get on electric vehicles to back the Green New Deal, when it's really just a manipulation. So like the book Art of War, how you defeat an enemy without like killing everybody is you manipulate them into defeating themselves. That's all big news is doing to us right now. In my personal, very biased opinion, DZ.
No, love it. All right, well, let's get to the last topic here. We're going to be talking Bored Ape Yacht Club. This is huge news over the weekend. They bought Yuga Labs, the founders of CryptoPunks. So I'm sorry, Larva Labs. So Yuga Labs bought Larva Labs. They obviously had the Bored Ape Yacht Club and the Mutant Ape Yacht Club. Larva Labs had CryptoPunks and the Meebits is kind of their two big IP. And Bored Apes, just for a little reference here, they minted at 0.08 ETH. So I don't know what ETH was. It was around May of last year, April last year. So maybe $2,000. So maybe $175. So they minted for about $175. Now they're going for about $175,000. So congrats if you minted that. That's just a casual 1000x gain there. You know, just casual 1000x gain in crypto. We love to see it. And obviously, community reacted favorably here. I think floors on both the flagship brands there rose about 10 ETH. They both jumped about $25,000. People are very happy about it. Not only that, they're now retroactively giving back the intellectual property rights of the Meebit holders and the CryptoPunk holders. So if you own one of those NFTs, just like Ben does, you now have the IP rights to your NFT, whereas before Larva Labs did not give that away. So people are really excited about it. Seems to be, a lot of big moves are happening here. It's very, very big conglomeration of NFTs now. Now, Ben, after doing this, Yuga Labs, they gave the full commercial rights to the holders. How do you think this benefits the community? I kind of had this debate with Justin. He's like, well, if you open a bar or a restaurant with your ape, what happens if you get your ape stolen? Is there going to be some issues here, you think, down the line?
Well, we all know Justin, let's start out as a negative Nancy. Okay, let's just start that out here. We all know Justin's going to try to tell you why everything's not going to be successful. He actually told me that I wasn't going to be sick. No, he told me I was going to do great, actually. So he was right on that one thing. But here's the thing with where it comes to these commercial rights. These are absolutely huge, okay? Here is the main thing, in my opinion, that this does. It levels the playing field between Bored Apes and CryptoPunks. CryptoPunks, to me, was like that great star athlete that is just so good, like 5-star recruit, goes into the college, and just they don't have to do anything. They don't have to work. They don't have to do anything. But eventually, that catches up with them because just on their merits, on who they are, they can only get so far. Without the work and without building the community, then they're going to hit a wall and they're going to end up like Jamarcus Russell. That's what they're going to end up as. Whereas Bored Apes, they have the community because all of the holders have the commercial rights and they know they have true ownership. And that definitely leads them further into that project. Whereas CryptoPunks, it's basically just, set it and forget it. It's buy it and leave it and look at it. Whereas with Bored Apes, you can do so many more things. So I think that really what this does is it gets the excitement going for CryptoPunks. And when we look at like the Discord for Bored Apes, we can move that excitement over the CryptoPunks community. I definitely think that we can get CryptoPunks going back in the right direction. Now, do I believe that ultimately Bored Apes is still going to end up being the number one NFT? I do. But this to me cements CryptoPunks as number 2, and will probably stay there because of the ownership of, the Bored Ape Yacht of Yuga Labs.
I was going to say, shout out to Pluto Alliance. You have full commercial rights if you do have a Pluto Alliance. So
absolutely.
Feel free, make your t-shirts, make a video game. Shout out to the Naked Paradise. We actually had a community member. They're doing that. They're going full blown. They have an NFT world where if you have specific traits, you can enter in with your Pluto. So yeah, we're doing it with our project as well. And we've seen it be a successful strategy. Now, Keeper, now we have the 2 top NFT projects just held by one team. Of course, CryptoPunks, Bored Ape Yacht Club, the top 2 right here. So does this present a monopolization problem to you or a centralization problem?
It's really funny that you asked me that. Miguel and I were talking about that before the show. You know, literally that exact question. Miguel said to me, he was like, "Yeah, I mean, hey, here we go, centralization again." I don't know that it causes that. I think it's just, hey, we have two very, very, very successful NFT projects that are now under the same umbrella. The reality is, if you own a CryptoPunk or if you own a Bored Ape, Ben, I'm speaking to you, you've done something right somewhere, right? And I think that ultimately there's some really cool things that the giving the commercial rights does. So let's use Ben as an example, since he's sitting here. Huge, YouTube, well, just huge social media presence, altogether. So if he wanted to, do and continue to basically make, I don't know, anything he wanted to and push that out to his community, it gives more and more relevance. It gives more and more value over the long term to the project. And so ultimately, I think it's an interesting business decision, because one would maybe look at it and say, well, they're a centralized, entity now. Why don't they just, hold that all to themselves and then push out all of these great ideas? But I think the cool part about it is, if you put 10 people in a room and put an idea out on the table, I think those 10 people can come up with multiple different ideas, and some of them are going to be better than the first thing that was thrown out there. And so centralized, yes, but hey, guess what? It also gives the opportunity. There are how many NFT projects? It also gives the opportunity for a whole lot of other projects to step their freaking game up. The reality is, Bored Apes and CryptoPunks are like the thing to have right now. It is a club. It is the exclusive place to be. That does not mean that there can't be another project that steps in and says, hey, we're here to play too. And I just want to let you know that. So I think it's still fair game.
I agree with that. It's probably more often than not, it's just going to be good. You want to put on coffee mugs, T-shirts, as long as it's not, some terrorist organization or something doing it. But Johnny, do you think that Yuga Labs is now kind of positioning themselves to be bought up by an even bigger company? Do you think that's possible? Whether it's, maybe Meta is going to try to step up and buy them. Heck, maybe Disney tries to step up and buy them. Do you see that as being a possible scenario?
Always. For me, I don't think NFTs are going anywhere, but I think they are basically kind of the ICOs of 2021. There's just so many of them. And DZ, like, you first had a statistic of these apes saying that they were very cheap and now they're very expensive. Well, how many other NFTs are out there that people bought into them and they just went to zero? To me, NFTs are kind of a risk versus reward. It goes back to the whole Lindy effect. How long something's been around gives you a probability for how long it's going to be around in the future. And because it's in its infancy, most of NFTs, whether it's on OpenSea or whatever, these guys, I don't have the luxury of throwing 120,000 to a few million at something that's not completely tangible. I feel like there's a better risk versus reward buying Bitcoin, because it's been around for a long time. I know that's going to go up in value. Yeah, theoretically, NFTs will go up in value, but they're so new to the space. What's to say something doesn't come on like Meta and just cancel delete all of these guys and create their own storefront, whatever. It could all somewhat potentially happen. So NFTs, for me, it's a little bit more gambling versus just investing. And to then digress and not really answer your question, oh, absolutely, something could come along. It's just a matter of time before the innovation happens and we go somewhere else. Sorry, my darn phone.
Yeah.
But yep, that's where I'm going with it.
Is the Bored Ape telling you to pump their back? And if I'm not signed in, I see you in the chat. I can't type back, but I'm reading your chats, reading your comments, and make sure you hit that like if you're in the chat right now. Really helps us boost with this algorithm. Now, final question here, Gareth. I think it's fair to say, they're kind of operating. Yuga Labs are kind of operating like certainly more of a business than Larva Labs was. A lot of people saw Larva Labs as innovators and artists, or but definitely not businessmen or business people. That was kind of the vibe there. And Yuga Labs, they're definitely operating more like a business, with IP acquisitions and such. Would you consider this like a successful strategy for their business model? And, would you consider, You know, if you were, you know, into NFTs, would this be a product you'd consider investing in?
Wow, that's a great question. You know, I'm not necessarily familiar enough with it to know for sure. I mean, I think they would probably know the best with their business model and stuff, but it certainly seems like they're kind of merging two big players, and you have to wonder again, what does that mean for the rest of the space? Is that a good thing? And I know you guys were talking about that just prior. So I mean, I just, you know, I just go back to NFTs, and again, I'm an old stock person, so I understand, you know, I'm kind of ancient in terms of this discussion. But I still remember vividly in the early 90s, I think I had a Scottie Pippen card, and it was like numbered to 100 or 99, and it was worth so much early on. And before all the other, you know, baseball, basketball card companies started to do these 1 to 99, 1 to 25, then there was a 1 of 1, you know, Michael Jordan jersey. And all of a sudden, my Scottie Pippen was worth nothing. And I was like, what the heck, man? And it just seems like, you know, what's to stop Meta from doing this? What's to stop all these players from just getting in on this space and cashing in? They got so many big things that they could turn into NFTs. And it just seems like if ultimately it just goes to massive, you know, overexposure to NFTs, I don't know. It just makes me nervous as an investor. I like liquid stocks and liquid crypto that I can get in and get out on a split second.
You don't like those illiquid JPEGs. You're bringing back the memories of my Frank Thomas card. It was a 1 of 50, 125, and I just every month I'd read the Beckett, it'd be lower. I read the next Beckett, it'd be lower. I'm diamond handed, baby, it'd be lower. And then Frank Thomas just, you know, fell off. So I feel your pain with that one. But that is all we have time for today. And it looks like Crypto Keeper etched it out there right at the end. Crypto Keeper, we'll go ahead and leave you with some parting thoughts.
Well, I saw Ben's his face go into his hand, so he's disappointed that I took this one. But hey, thanks for having me on, guys. As always, make sure you follow everybody on the panel, guys. As I always say, there is a reason that they are here. This is not by coincidence. So make sure that you guys check out the socials in the information down below. 7:15 Monday through Friday. We are on Debate Crypto on YouTube. We'd love to have you join. And then Saturday nights, we are doing our debates at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have Ben on sometime soon. We did have on DZ recently. Gareth's coming on. Johnny's coming on. Everybody's coming on. So look forward to seeing you there. Debate Crypto on YouTube. Love you guys.
Yeah. Make sure you check out all the channels. Links are in the description, and even check out NFT Alpha while you're at it. That is all we got time for today, BitSquad. DZ out.